Ohio. Hello everybody and welcome to a new edition of the Broulis Beat Report. I am your host, Nick Broulis. This edition of the Broulis Beat Report is brought to you as always by Cafe 80s. If you enjoy 80s music, you'll definitely want to check out a Cafe 80s show. There's 3 ways to follow them. Just go to their actual website at thecafe80s.net. You can find out their playlist and where they'll be playing at the next time. You can also go onto Facebook and type in the Cafe 80s, and you'll just like the page, and then you can also find out information that way. Also, download that Bands in Town app. That's what I do. That's my way of following them the most. Download that Bands in Town app, type in Cafe 80s, and then you click on their name, and boom, you get emails sent to you letting you know where they'll be playing at, what, and all the other information that you're going to need to know. Well, I certainly hope that all of you guys had a great weekend, just for starters. And today is Monday, July 17th, 2017. And wow, it's been a great week of weather. We haven't had rain here in Canton, Ohio in, I'd say, 3 or 4 days, which before that it seemed like we were living in Seattle at the time, or a tropical rainforest. But anyways, I want to get to the main topic, of course, and that is this: the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is going to be all basketball. As some of you may know, I did change my format starting last week. Going to cover just one specific topic. Not going to cover all the leagues, all the teams. Just going to talk about one thing. So here we go. First off, Cavaliers still have no GM. Even the Knicks, who are an absolute dumpster fire, have a GM at this point. So how do you go from going to 3 straight NBA Finals to now Dan Gilbert decides, well, the GM isn't all that important? Are you kidding me? Are you serious? Last time I checked, David Griffin did an excellent job of putting a roster together with very minimal things to trade, stuff like that. So I'm just still, and I know it's been well over a month now, I am still confused as to why that they did not sign David Griffin. I know that he wanted more power over basketball operations. Why not give it to him? Why, Gilbert, do you not take a step back and just say, all right, you've done this well with what we've given you so far. Let's put more on your plate and see where we can go. So I think that was a big mistake on the Cavs' part. Now, they have managed to bring back Kyle Korver on a 3-year deal, which I personally love. They signed Jeff Green to a 1-year deal, I believe that was. They signed Cedi Osman, the 6'8" forward out of the EuroLeague, who is 22 years old, and he signed a 3-year $8.3 million deal, not an $8.3 million deal. So I'm curious to see how much playing time he will actually get. Then they went out and signed a backup point guard, Jose Calderon. I don't know how I feel about that. I didn't watch him a whole lot this past season, but I did manage to read an article, and supposedly he's still pretty good with his passing. Not sure too much about how he will be playing defensively, but all I've got to say is he has got to play better than Darren Williams did last season. He just has to. Now, do the Cavs sign Derek Williams to a contract? I think they need to. As a matter of fact, there was a reporter that asked Tyronn Lue, hey, what are you going to do about the bench? And his response simply was, we have got to get younger and more athletic. Well, if you sign Derek Williams, you take care of that. And if you keep Eddie Tavares around, guess what? You can take care of that. And he'll give you some good rebounding and rim protection as well. He's a really skinny guy, so he'll get pushed around by the bigger centers of the league. But the thing is, he's got length, and, again, he will be a good rim protector. And he's not expected to score much, on this team especially. So then, here's the next thing I want to talk to you about. The East is actually weaker now than what it was before last season started. You have, who was it? You got Jimmy Butler signing with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then Paul George, he gets traded to the Thunder. So the West got even stronger than what it was last year already, even though we should all know at this point that the Golden State Warriors are still the team to beat, obviously, in the entire league. Now, before I go on to my next 2 points, I do have to say this. Obviously not a Warriors fan, but let me say this. And I had a talk with my good friend Andy a couple weeks ago about this. As much as you cannot stand the Warriors, if you are not a Warriors fan, you do have to give their scouting department a lot of credit for when they drafted these players and then built around them. They are built to have success over a long period of time. You cannot argue that. And they've done a good job of putting pieces around their star players as well as offering the right amount of money to the star players. So you got to give them credit where credit is due. Now, there is a little bit of luck in that. I still say that. When you draft these players, just like the NFL, you hope that they live up to their potential that you feel that they can possibly reach. Now, the last 2 things I have to talk about. Carmelo Anthony. Here's my problem with him. First off, I am definitely not trading Kevin Love straight up for Carmelo Anthony. Number 2, if Carmelo Anthony is interested in coming off of the bench and learning to play more of the Cavs style of basketball instead of playing isolation, I would be okay with that, but you still got to trade for him. And we just don't have the trade assets to do that. You just can't. So that's why I am not in favor of bringing Carmelo Anthony onto the Cavs unless they can trade maybe a Channing Frye or maybe a Richard Jefferson involved with it. And even then, I'm still not sure about it because I think those 2 players bring more to the table than what Carmelo Anthony does. Anthony is an isolation player, and his best fit would be in Houston with the Rockets. That's how I see that. Now, I will have to, this is my segue into the rumors about LeBron James possibly leaving. I just don't see it happening. I just don't. Not unless this roster looks that bad, and they play that bad this upcoming season, and there starts to become dysfunction in the Cavaliers locker room. Why would he want to go anywhere else when you still got Kyrie Irving at the point guard, you still got Thompson, you still got Love? All 3 of them are locked up to long-term deals for another, I think it's 2 to 3 years for all 3 of them. And Dan Gilbert has shown the willingness to go well over the luxury tax. I mean, come on, guys, how much more do you want? And he wants his kids to go to St. Vincent St. Mary. He doesn't have to worry about endorsement deals off the court. He can get anything he wants right here in Cleveland. I personally do not see LeBron James going anywhere starting next summer. I just don't. So I got some text messages from some people over the weekend about the Cavs not signing any big-time stars or anything. Well, that's because they can't. And honestly, again, they just need to get a solid 4th scorer that has a decent, good, all-around game. That's all they need. And for God's sakes, get the bench younger and more athletic. Then you've got a chance to close a gap on the Warriors. Now, before I end the show, I just want to let everybody know that I do have my latest article up on fandom.com. I am breaking down the Browns' different positions. The first position that I broke down was the Browns' defensive line and the linebackers. So if you want to check that out and you haven't had a chance to yet, go to fandom.com and check that out when you get a minute. It's a real quick read. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. And either today or later tomorrow, I'm going to move to I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball. I'm probably going to go to the secondary. Well, that does it for this edition of the Broulis Beat Report. My name is Nick Broulis. Again, thank you to all of you that watched this version of the Broulis Beat Report. And until next time, have a great one, everybody.